Okay, the pirate is a profession that the captain can choose at game start. It is also a specialist that you can get through contacts. You cannot recruit them through the Spice Hall. If you are a pirate captain, you get an uncompromising trait, which is, and this is again your first job as pirate, that's your profession. Demanding ferocity brooks no argument, +2 resilience, +1 fortitude, and doubles all credits extorted from enemy captains in blockade or ship encounter. That means once you have some good reputation with various factions, you can start extorting some credits while you also gain reputation by acknowledging them if you had enough positive hostility. And so that can be pretty lucrative, about as lucrative as the merchant for reasons you can watch in that video. You also get Marauder, eager to hunt profit gains, +10 boarding, that's 10 strong dice, 10% accuracy, which can help if you're a little light on guns, and +5 range change in ship combat, which helps especially with trying to get into close range for your radiation weapons or trying to board them. And that also actually gives you a small edge in escaping, which can be situationally pretty useful. Not my favorite set of traits, but they are themed appropriately with a pirate, and they're decently strong. Pirate does give pilot, not as much as your pilot will, I don't think, but they also give a secondary of intimidate and a little bit of gunnery. So they can help replace some of your gunners if you think your gunners are not pulling their weight. Let's go down through all these talents. We got a lot to go through. All right, Icy Stare, rank 1. This is an Intimidate save talent. Intimidate is the least important roll to fail, and so I tend to prioritize this the very least of all of them. Except maybe Explorer would be lower, maybe not. The consequences for failing Intimidate rolls are just very minor. But if you have extra talents to spare, or you're just getting continually knocked by Intimidate saves and it's pissing you off, yeah, go ahead and get an Icy Stare. Rigorous Search. This is an excellent talent, and the pro tip here is to use it during artifact find rumors. Rigorous Search. A pirate's keen sense for treasure sniffs out secret hideaways from defeated smugglers. New lootable cargo is added. This effectively is just random loot applied to smugglers that you defeat. The trick is to use this during artifact find rumors, wherein it has an extremely large chance of spawning Xeno artifacts on the smuggler, which can often be more valuable than anything else they had in their hold. So using this during that rumor is just a great way to get money than just hightail it to a black market or the Far-Fallen Rim at the Temple of Refuge. And just make so much money with this talent. Corsair's Eye. During a blockade of a system, replace a risk card with a merchant card. This is an okay talent. Merchants tend not to have as great of loot as smugglers, and sometimes don't even have as good a loot as explorers. But this is a way to remove a card that you really don't want to encounter, like a military officer, and replace it with something that's okay and that you can destroy for easy credits and some loot that's of moderate quality. Not the strongest of cards, but it's a rank 1, so it's about evenly placed. All right, Furious Prodding is used in ship combat. It purges your ship's crew of any crippling effects. Nice. Restores Intimidate skill worth of morale to 10 crew. Well, let's see. You're at rank 1. Wow. Looks like you get 1 morale to 10 crew. That's not a lot. So let's say you're 7, or you're rank 15. You're quite a high level. 7 morale to 10 crew. As you can see, this is not a very powerful talent. Even if you are max rank here, and you're getting your only Intimidate from the pirate, you're getting 11 morale across 10, applied to 10 crew. Not a lot. So you're really doing this for the ship's crew of any crippling effects. Crew crippling effects are not as common. They are somewhat common, but they're not as common as the ship crippling effects. So it's good to have some of each to prevent it. But this is probably my least favorite crippling removal talent other than the crew dogs. Oh, but this one applies to ship's crew, and the other crew dogs does... yeah, even the crew dogs one's better for the ship's crew, actually. Unlawful Loot. When attempting to access a black market, reroll a risk card. The black market is not the forte of the pirate, but it's nice to have a little edge here. Some rerolls on black market can be really handy, especially if you're getting Rigorous Search and you're getting these Xeno artifacts. This can go well together. This is a decent card if you don't have a lot of access to the black market otherwise. So it's situationally valuable. Raider's Scrutiny. This is a pretty unique talent. Experienced pirates can spot the slightest signs and anomalies in an ARC scanner reading. I don't know what an ARC scanner is. Identifying how many units of raw, manufactured, and rare cargo a ship is carrying. This is a talent you use on merchants and especially explorers. See, do I really want to piss off this faction, say Devoltos, by destroying you just to see what loot you have? And if they have a bunch of rare cargo in there, the answer is yes. Yes, you do want to piss them off. If it's manufactured, it's maybe. If it's raw, you don't really bother with them and let them go, as the rare tend to be the most valuable. So this is a good way. It does have a long cooldown, 9 weeks, so you won't be able to use this all the time. Just scope out what precious cargo you want to risk reputation loss for and what cargo you don't. But as often as you can, it's helpful. Multiple pirates can make this easier, of course. Barrel Roll. This is a very popular ship combat card, or talent, and it is really good for pirates. This is just excellent talent. You cannot be used at range 1 and 5. Note that. That is a limitation, an interesting one, because you can't often use it the first turn of combat. And if you happen to be in range 1 worrying about your evasion, well, out of luck. So this gives you 35% defense bonus. In other words, the most defense bonus in a single talent in the game. Also gives a handy 10% shield bonus at the expense of cutting off a quarter of your damage. Now this damage reduction applies to your standard damage, not your radiation, not your void damage. It also knocks off 10 escape for the next 3 turns. So you do take a bit of risk that if things end up not going your way, you're probably hosed at trying to escape. Now, this combination of negated damage and bonus defense is really, really good for a pirate. It's great defensively for anyone that is in those valid positions that wants to reduce their incoming damage by taking fewer hits. There's no better talent for doing that. However, lowering your standard damage means that proportionally your radiation damage or your void damage, but especially radiation because that can do criticals and applies to crew so much more than anything else. Your radiation damage will be what dominates. And your crippling effects can continue to burn the crew or cook them out with radiation or whatever. So your crippling hits and your radiation damage stay intact while you stack barrel roll after barrel roll if you have lots of pirates. You can do this to disable just about any ship really quickly without getting touched because you've got so much defense going on and you're just doing pure radiation and crippling damage. It is extremely effective, but requires a very dedicated pirate build. A lot of fun with that talent, but even in small doses, even just having one of these talents is a great emergency. Oh crap, I'm getting hit. I need to boost my defense a lot, and I'm okay doing less damage to my foe for a while as a consequence. Great talent. Infamous Presence during blockade of a system increases rewards by 10 plus intimidate skill %. Does what it says. If you're doing lots of blockading, or at least every 6 weeks, it seems valuable. I think there are other talents that are more impressive, but like Barrel Roll, but Infamous Presence is okay. Terrifying Extortion. Frighten non-violent merchants into turning over their cargo in return for a promise of being unharmed at cost of reputation loss. So this will give you half of the cargo from a merchant, but it does cost you reputation. And if you decide to go to combat with them for the rest of it, you're not getting... It's not like playing a Final Fantasy game where you are... you steal an item and it's a new item you wouldn't have otherwise had. It's actually just half of what you were going to get anyway. So if you're already planning on destroying your prey and taking all that they have, doesn't make any difference, except that you took extra reputation loss. So I don't find this to be super valuable as much as others might. The upside is if you are trying to have a lucrative and entertaining experience and you find it boring to board your foe repeatedly to disable their ship for certain, then yeah, this is a faster way to get stuff from merchants without having to bother with the boarding combats. Acrobatic Dive. This is an interesting one. I tend not to use it, but I think that's just me. I think others do. It gives you plus 25% accuracy, quite a lot, and 15 range change at the cost of 10 minus 10 escape. That's still a net bonus to your escape, but not a lot. So that's a way to deal with foes in... You're in these suboptimal ranges for you as a pirate, perhaps, and you're trying to get to closer. a good way to do that if you're also low on accuracy in general. You'd also have to have enough defense that you didn't mind being attacked in the meantime. I don't know. I can't really see the justification for acrobatic dive myself, but I'm sure someone else can. I'm pretty sure there's a place for it. I just haven't found it. Swooping Marauder. This is a small craft combat talent. It buffs your friendly craft with plus 30 boarding dice, plus 15% craft evasion for the next 3 turns. Craft evasion is crucial in small ship combat, I've discovered. It is just by far the most important attribute you can stack. And so having any craft evasion talents is good. The plus 30 boarding, the mechanics with boarding and small craft have not been revealed yet, so it's not clear how that works. So I can't really get advice on that. We're going to rank 8. Menacing Demeanor. This is one of the best talents in the game. The pirate has a lot of really good talents. When completing steps in the mission using Intimidate skill, that's important, your status as a known scoundrel mitigates your reputation loss by up to your Intimidate skill. So if you have, I don't know, 7 Intimidate, you'll take between 1 and 7 fewer points of reputation loss, so long as your mission was finished using an Intimidation roll. A lot of missions can be selected so that that's true, and at that point, you can start building reputation with lots of factions by taking missions against each other of a certain type that allow you to end with intimidation rolls, and then you'll gain more with one faction and then you'll lose with the other. Reverse the process. You could get friendly with everyone that way. Note the 18-week cooldown, though, kind of means if you want to do that strategy for real, you need more than one pirate with this talent. Lethal Example. This is a mutiny talent. I don't actually have mutinies in my games. I apparently play in a way where that's not needed ever. But if you do, this is an option. Outright killing the lowest morale mutineer sets the cruel example and reminds the crew who's in charge. The mutiny ends, and the morale of the entire crew is increased by 20 plus your Intimidate skill. So that's actually a substantial morale gain, but you do kill off one of your crew members for good. As with most mutiny talents, or maybe all, it's half a year cooldown. So it's quite a while between them. Hopefully you don't have more than one mutiny ever, but that's a pretty extreme way to end a mutiny. But if you're having problems with that, I guess it's an option. All right, Blackheart Fraud. This is a pretty good one. Confusing or forged credentials are enough to throw even the most dogged pursuer. Can be used to reduce the hostility of bounty hunters. So this will give you +2 to the hostility, which again, a positive number of hostility is good. It means that they're going to give you money and reputation more likely, and not attack or disparage you for real. And so dealing with bounty hunters is quite nice, especially if you're a rapscallion wag of a pirate and you bonus points if anyone gets the reference. And you're pissing people off often. Well, bounty hunters come after you. Well, this is a way to mitigate that, or sometimes turn it around and get the reputation instead. This can be combined with bribing to push someone that's currently going to attack you into actually giving you reputation. You just have to play with the bribe and the Blackheart Fraud timing to figure it out. All right, Nose for Loot. When salvaging an orbital, replace a risk card with a rare trade loot card. This is extremely lucrative. Salvaging is high risk, high reward. This reduces risk and gives a very high reward. Very recommended if you're going to be doing salvaging. Note the long cooldown, though. Disabling Approach. This is not a talent I use much. We'll go into it. If any ship weapons hit, this crippling attacks cause minus 25% defense, minus 25 range change for the next 4 turns. The penalty to range change may be nice if they're trying to escape. My problem with decreasing their defense is I have to be able to hit them in order for this talent to stick. And if I can already hit them, why am I bothering to lower their defense? So I don't find a whole lot of place for this one, but maybe you will if you're using mostly inaccurate weapons and you're only occasionally able to hit. But it's occasionally enough that one of your weapons hits to make this make sense. Burner Skid. This is a scary talent I wish I knew all the mechanics on. This also has the potential to be amazing. Infamous pirate maneuver. Dangerous overcharging the engine for killing power. Not a sentence. Buffs ship with plus 20% critical. Remember what I said about radiation damage. Plus 80 radiation damage. That's a flat amount, we believe. Just 80 damage added to every attack. And self-inflicts 25 component damage per turn and 25 morale damage per turn for the next 3 turns, which means 4. You're effectively taking 100 component damage and 100 morale damage. It's quite a bit, especially that component damage. In fact, the component damage scares me because I'm afraid that it will just wipe out my own engine, so I don't use it. If I had guarantees that it would not destroy my own engine, I would use this talent. I just haven't learned that yet, and I'm not willing to risk my permadeath saves to do that. Now, 20% critical is a massive amount, and that radiation damage bonus is great. If you're firing 4 weapons in a turn, you can get a lot of value out of that as you're doing, what, 160, 320 radiation damage, even if it's not multiplied, bonus in your turn. And that'll apply even if you aren't using a weapon that deals radiation damage, just adds that on. This only works in range 4 and 5. There's a theory going around the meta right now that if you used it at range 4 and managed to twitch surge to range 2, you could then have a build that used 8 autocannons or more with burner skid active and hit your foe for, let's see, if you had 8 autocannons with burner skid, you would hit them for 640 radiation damage, even if none of them critical, added on to all the standard damage you did. You'd probably melt just about any ship in 1 or 2 turns. But that requires you to get a twitch surge, luckily. Requires you to be in range 4 at the right timing. It also requires you to be willing to take the normal component morale damage. And you'd have to be doing a ridiculously crazy build where you're using 8 slots for 1 reactor point autocannons, which isn't terribly likely. So a lot of sacrifices, but it is a pretty fun option out there. It is helpful if you're using a lot of torpedoes, though, as these ranges are great for torpedoes. In fact, they're the only ones that can be used by torpedoes. And so you can hose down a ship pretty rapidly, even though torpedoes do void damage. It'll also do radiation damage, and that radiation will be critical boosted. Good way to disable a ship. All right, rank 11, Terror of the Skies. During a blockade of a system, replace a risk card with a mission success reward card. All of these replaced with the mission success reward card talents are really good. If you're taking blockading missions, this is a great way to end it early or to just get rid of a really dangerous thing with ending it early. All right, we got 2 more. Murderous Tribute. This is the best, at the time of this video, this is the best prize ship talent of them all. Murderous Tribute has a 36-week cooldown, but it allows you to seize a defeated enemy ship during a conflict at a local prize court. Limited ship types by conflicts. That is on the prize ship wiki page. It's also on the ship encounters wiki page, so if you need to look that up, use a browser. It requires military rank or edict, which is appropriate to the conflict. These are described in both in-game text and in the wiki, and a tithe of 40% of the ship's value, meaning you have to pay 40% of what the game considers that ship to be worth at the time that you capture it. But in return, you strike a blow in the conflict, which dramatically shifts the conflict, and you lose 75 reputation with your enemy. But the good thing about this prize ship talent is that just about every capture you get, no matter how damaged you left them, this is a profitable exchange. The other prize ship talents require less reputation, but you're not going to make money off of them. You're instead just going to find a discounted ship that maybe you want to switch to. But this is great for just picking on ships. Oh, I don't need a new ship, but I sure would like 300,000 extra credits this time, and you'll get that kind of profit just by using Murderous Tribute in an appropriate area. Now, with all the prize ship talents, there are a lot of factors that have to be in play. You have to be in the right place at the right time with the right prerequisites in terms of military ranks or edicts, and you have to be attacking the right kind of ship. But if all those stars align, it can be just a 36-week cooldown on getting a fortune. So it can be pretty satisfying. All right, Unbridled Raider. During a blockade of a system, reroll all 5 cards and draw a new hand. Just a reminder, for all of the cards that allow you to draw a new hand, they also will then allow you to follow up with another card, such as Terror of the Skies, or any other card that replaces individual cards. So that's a nice thing about the reroll new hand. It just wipes out an old hand, just gets discarded, start again, and you're still free to choose another card. And if you had 2 stacks of this, yeah, you could reroll those again as well, but that'd be pretty expensive. Note the 21-week cooldown.